Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. For this video, we are continuing on something we started last week. I returned recently from a road trip where I went to Clarksville, Tennessee, because I knew that they had a couple of grocery chains that I don't have near me. It's about a 3 to 3.5 hour drive from home, so it wasn't too unbearable, but I made a journey out of it. And during that journey, I filmed the entire trip. That video is going to drop next week, showing everything that I experienced during my trip. Not only did I go to 2 grocery stores, I went to a couple of truck stops. You guys keep telling me you want me to build an MRE at truck stops. I went to a couple of different places, and I'm showing you why I did or did not build an MRE there. So be sure you come back around next week for that video detailing that journey. But while I was in Clarksville, I found a place that I don't have locally, and that is the new Dollar General Market. Now, I've got Dollar General all over the place here, but we don't have the marketplace. This is a fairly recent venture that Dollar General is trying because a lot of their business centers around locations that don't have alternatives. What's weird though is that in a town like Clarksville that has plenty of other alternatives, they had a Dollar General Market right there in the middle of it all. So I decided, let's go check it out, see what we can find. See if it's any different from a regular Dollar General store. So let me introduce to you the Dad Budget Adventures Homemade MRE Model DGM1. But before we tear into the bag, we got to go over the rules for how I build my MREs. Other than the fact that for entertainment purposes only, I like to source everything in this kit from a single location. Rule number 1 is everything in here has to be able to be eaten straight out of the package. Doesn't mean that's how we're going to eat it, just means it needs to be able to. The only exceptions are a beverage where maybe I need to pour something into a bottle of water or add hot water to make some coffee or tea. Rule number 2, everything in here has to have at least a 1-year shelf life or best by date from the day that I buy it. The 2 reasons for that is I want to make sure that if this thing goes into storage for a year, that it's as fresh as can be expected when I finally do get around to eating it. The other reason is it just makes things more interesting because I have to work a little harder. And finally, rule number 3 is the menu. This MRE must have an entree, a side, a walking around snack, a dessert, and a beverage. So with all the mumbo jumbo out of the way, let's dive in and see what's inside this bag from Dollar General Market. So the one thing that I did figure out with Dollar General Market is it's kind of a stretch for them to say this is different from Dollar General. It was a larger store, but the layout of the store really was pretty similar to my standard Dollar General. It just was more spread out. They had about the same ratio of food to other products. So had they had a little bit more in the way of food than they do everything else, then I could say that they're doing something different. But honestly, just the fact that it's a little bit bigger, a little cleaner looking, it's kind of the same thing. In fact, a lot of the products were the same, which is what limited me to what I could do with this. So going into this, understand this is not a standout MRE, but there is something in here that makes it very different and much more fun. So for our entree, I had to go with a standard. And if you look behind me, I came prepared because these things are so hit and miss. I wanted to make sure that I brought the things that I would need just in case. We are starting out with the Hormel Completes. This is the meatloaf and gravy with mashed potatoes. My experience with these things has been so hot and cold, but I have found that things that are tomato based are pretty good. Things like the chili and the spaghetti. Things that are chicken based with a chicken gravy are awful. This is somewhere in between. This is beef based with a beef gravy. We're gonna give it a try. You know, the advantage to these Hormel Completes is that they are pretty much the same thing as what an MRE would have been. And the rumor is that Hormel pitched these to the US government as an MRE replacement. But whether that's actually true or not, regardless of the fact that the US government on the idea, they do have 15 grams of protein per serving in this one. You're gonna get a belly-filling meal, plus you're gonna get that protein to give your stomach something to work on for a little while. So at the very least, you're gonna feel like you ate something. But the question is, are we gonna feel like we ate something decent? I've got the trucker's lunchbox sitting back here preheating, so we're gonna get this in there so it can be warming up while we go through the rest of the stuff in this bag. Next up, we have our side. For that, I picked up one of these Starkist Snack to Go tuna salad mixes. This comes with a can of tuna salad, a spoon, and some crackers. I've had a few different varieties of these from different companies, and they all tend to be pretty decent. So I'm looking forward to this. So I know that if that completes meal is awful, I'll at least have something that makes me feel like I've had something to eat. Next up is our walking around snack. One thing that you can count on with Dollar General is their snacks. They've always got a pretty good variety. It can, however, be hard to find things with the right shelf life. But in this case, I found this cranberry blend trail mix. One of the things I love about these is the price. The Good and Smart store brand at Dollar General has some super low priced items, and they are usually pretty good. In this case, this is a trail mix that has dried cranberries, raisins, peanuts, and looks like maybe a couple other things in there. So that should be a pretty satisfactory snack. Next up, we have our dessert. Once again, we're returning to something that I don't do much when I'm building MREs, but I wanted to stay away from putting chocolate in these, especially given that right now it's 1,000,000 degrees outside everywhere. So instead of chocolate, I went back to the roots of MREs where they always came with some kind of hard candy. And in this case, I picked up these individually wrapped Warheads Extreme Sour. I can throw this entire bag in there and I can have all the sugar, all the calories, all the boost that I want out of this. Or I can take out a handful of these and I can throw them into my kit. So what we're gonna do for the purposes of this video, we're gonna say I'm gonna throw 5 of these individually wrapped items into the meal. So let's open it up. I'm gonna pull out 5, and those are going in with the rest of our stuff. These are gonna go in my belly later. Once again, I'm a grown-up, bought these with my money. And finally, we have our beverage. In this case, I picked up this Hawaiian Punch sugar-free drink mix. This is just a sachet of Hawaiian Punch. We're just gonna mix it with some water and we will have our beverage. Now, I lied when I said that was the final item. There is one more thing in here, but I think I'm gonna save it for later in the video. That's gonna be a little teaser to keep y'all around so that you're not checking out early on me. This will be the last thing we do in this video is we're gonna take out this last item in here, and I think you're gonna see when I take it out why exactly I decided to include it. It's a little more expensive than I would usually throw into an MRE, but I have a feeling you're going to approve. So before we go any further, we need to get our drink mixed up so we can start trying some of these items and see how we did on this homemade MRE from Dollar General Market. Got my redneck china glassware, got my bamboo spork, and if you're interested in these, there's always gonna be a link down in the description box below to any of the gear that I use in this video, except that. All right, that one tore straight down the middle, so we're just gonna do it this way. Let's mix up our Hawaiian Punch drink. Anybody out there want a nice Hawaiian Punch? All right, let's set this aside, let it finish dissolving, and let's dive into some of this other stuff and see what we've got. We're gonna start out with our side, which is our Starkist Snack to Go Tuna Salad Kit. Get in here and see exactly what we've got. Now, once again, these things can be disassembled and put into your package without having to take that box. This is gonna keep your crackers from getting smushed and probably just keep everything contained, but if you need the space, that's always an option. So we got our little pack of crackers. I wish more manufacturers sold crackers in a portion like this. This would be a perfect side for most meals. We have our spoon, little baby spoon. Looks like somebody took a plastic spoon and washed it in hot water. And we have our can of tuna salad. So let's pop this bad boy open and see what we're getting into. So we got your typical tuna salad. It's got tuna, mayo, probably some pickles and whatnot. It's very mushy and it's almost like a pate. I think we can work with that. Let's open up our crackers. They appear that all of our crackers are intact. Let's get us a nice big scoop of tuna salad and give this a try. I'm super hungry today, y'all. This is lunch today and I have not eaten much before this, so I am so ready for this. It smells like your typical canned tuna salad. Nothing special, nothing just jumps out, but here we go. That's really tasty. It's slightly sweet. The tuna tastes really good. It's a little bit wet. There's a lot of mayo in this. Let's get another one. It's great that these come with a spoon because then you don't have to go looking for something if you don't have one of your own. But adding this into your meal, it also gives you something that you can eat with if you need to. Be a little frustrating eating with a spoon that small, but we work with what we got. Cheers. All right, so I've got this row of hot sauces and stuff that I brought just in case that meatloaf turns out to be garbage and we need to do something to help make it go down. So I figure, why not? Throw a little Louisiana hot sauce on there. Down the hatch. That hot sauce adds a nice zing to that tuna salad. I highly recommend that. All right, let's try our Hawaiian Punch fruit punch. I've said before, I'm not a big fan of these sugar-free drinks because they use artificial sweeteners and I don't really like the way they taste. A lot of people will also point out some of the negative health impacts of drinking a lot of these things. Artificial sweetener is fine in moderation, like most things. But if you're drinking a lot of these every day, they're probably not helping you out much. All right, smells good, smells like childhood. It's got that nice sweet fruit punch aroma to it. All right, let's give this a go. That's pretty good. I don't hate that at all. Be better with some ice in it, but surprisingly enough, this does not have an overwhelming taste of that artificial sweetener. Now, it may come at me in a little bit. These things will be like an aftertaste on the back of your tongue, but overall, I like that. As far as artificially sweetened drink sachets, that may be the best one I've found yet. Let's grab another bite of this stuff real quick. Let's make this go away before we move on to the next thing. We're gonna try a different hot sauce. This is the Polynesian sweet and spicy sauce that I get from Aldi. This is a very well-loved sauce. You can probably tell there's a lot missing out of this bottle. Let's give that a try. It's got a good flavor to it, but I don't like it as much as the Louisiana hot sauce. That Louisiana hot sauce is perfect for that. Let's clean that out, move on to our walking around snack. Next up is our cranberry blend trail mix from Good and Smart. Now this is a 3-serving package, but we're throwing the entire thing in, of course. We gotta take that into account when we're adding up our numbers at the end. Get a little bit of this out, see what we've got. So that's a pretty fair selection of everything that's in there. All right, let's give this a shot. Tastes about like you'd expect it to. It's nothing spectacular. It is very good. Oh, there were almonds in there. I didn't get any in that last bite. So we gotta do another one. That's not bad at all. That's a pretty good mix. However, I do not see how anyone can eat 1/3 of this package and be anything but angry. Good and Smart, that's 1 serving all day long. And I believe it is time to break into our entree. Can you sense my excitement? I just looked down and noticed I had something on my shirt. Why didn't y'all tell me? Don't look at that. Don't look at that for the rest of the video. Leave that. Don't look. This is the most unexciting thing I've seen in a minute. It's not a great smell either. I don't know why I keep trying. I keep hoping something's gonna work out for this, but I'm really losing hope. God, it's got a weird metallic smell to it. Okay, I'm gonna get something put under this. It's hot. All right, so we got our mashed potatoes over here that are pretty kind of grainy looking. And on the other side, we've got our meatloaf, something they claim is gravy. Let's start with the potatoes. Let's get a bite of this. A little bit of gravy. See what we got. This is for you guys. Okay. Surprisingly, the potatoes aren't bad. Not a huge fan of the flavor of the gravy. It's got a very odd flavor to it, and I can't even begin to describe what it is. But at the very least, I could eat the potatoes. So let's check out this meatloaf. I think I just got a chunk of gravy. Get a bite of meatloaf and came up with a chunk of gravy. All right, there's the meatloaf. It's a pretty thick portion of meatloaf. There's not a ton in here, but for what it is, it's a pretty decent portion. Let's hope that means something. All right, give this a try. It's not awful. If I'm hungry, and I'm hungry right now, but if I'm super hungry, I would eat this and not be too put off by it. But if I was just looking for something to eat for lunch and I pulled this out, I think I would be very disappointed. Look, there's a level of hungry you get when you're camping or hiking or surviving, and you can work with this. Part of the reason that I do what I do with these videos, though, is that I believe that if you plan ahead, if you prepare these things with the expectation that at some point you might have to break these out because either you can't get to the grocery store or you just don't have a way to prepare the things that you've got because you've got a power outage or something like that, being able to break out your MREs and have a decent meal is key to morale and getting by. It makes you want to survive. If you're eating garbage food, if you're eating bland food, the will to live starts to get sapped pretty quickly. All the people that come into my comments talking about things like, all you need is some pemmican and some water. All this other stuff is just waste. Look, if that's how you want to live, that's great. Have at it. Go sit in your cave and eat your pemmican. I would rather have good food though. And I'm not talking about going out and finding it once something happens. My entire point is prepare your good food up front so that it's there when you need it, so that you don't have to just settle for whatever you can get your hands on. So that being said, with this, if you've tried them and you like them, these are a great resource. But I wouldn't buy a bunch of these and stock them away without trying it, because in the middle of a disaster is not the time to figure out that you or your family are not going to eat these. All right, so I brought all these sauces and stuff back here to try. Let's see what works to make this meatloaf just a little bit more tolerable. I've got some Heinz 57 sauce, Louisiana hot sauce, Polynesian sweet and spicy, and truff. So I put just a little bit of each of those in 4 different places on the meatloaf. So let's give it a try. We're going to start with that Heinz 57. That's not bad. That does the job. Downside is I don't think Heinz 57 comes in anything other than those size bottles. So finding a container that you can put it in, throw it into your kit, that could be rough. All right, let's go with the Louisiana hot sauce. So far, that's the best. Let's give it a go with the Polynesian. It's okay. It adds a lot of heat, has some zing to it. Not sure it works with the flavor of the meatloaf. And last but not least, to make this last bite go away, we have truff. That bite was way bigger than it should have been. All right. Truff was okay. My standout winners, first place is Louisiana hot sauce. Second place is that Heinz 57. So if you've got some of these and you need to make them go away, get you some Heinz 57. Throw it on there. Maybe you can make it go down. One of the issues with this particular meal, and I've noticed this in a couple of the others, is there's this aftertaste thing that just kind of sticks around. I think it's a byproduct of the packaging process because it's the same in every one of these, no matter what the base is. So that is one of the things I think that turns a lot of people off of these things. If they could figure out how to get around that, I'm not sure where it comes into the process. The fact that I'm tasting that same background aftertaste with every one of these things tells me it's the packaging. I'm glad I had one cracker left. That aftertaste really is not pleasant. That leaves us one more thing to try before we jump in there and show you the extra special bonus item. We've got these Warheads Extremes. I'm assuming this is lemon. My Warhead is busted. I have a broken arrow. Broken arrow. We're gonna have to just dump this straight in. Oh, we have lemon flavor. We have sour. And then we made it extreme. Whew. That first rush is something. I'm gonna tell you about something that I learned recently before we move on to this last item. My wife throughout her life has suffered from panic attacks, as many people do. They can be extremely debilitating and they can be very dangerous, especially if they happen at a time when, say, you're behind the wheel. So I found out about something the other day. I wasn't sure if I believed it until I gave some to my wife and told her to try it next time. These things are a great aid to people who suffer panic attacks. Your brain can only do so much at once. A panic attack usually means that you're hyper-focusing on something negative. Usually you start worrying about your breathing or your heart or something like that, and it makes it worse. And your brain cannot disconnect from that. These right here are what you need. I bought a pack of these for my wife to keep in her car, and she called me one day and said, I'm having a panic attack. I said, eat one of the Warheads. She fought me on it because she does not like sour candy. My point to her was, that's exactly why this is probably going to work for you, because you don't like those. You don't eat them like they're candy. She took out one of the Warheads, she put it in her mouth, and I stayed on the phone with her and listened to her gripe about how awful that Warhead was. But you know what happened in the meantime? That panic attack shut down. Those Warheads absolutely disconnected her brain from that negative activity and got her turned around, headed back in the right direction. So if you're one of those people that is subject to panic attacks, and you don't know what to do about it when it happens, keep some of those on hand. When it starts to happen, put one in your mouth. It's going to make your brain misfire from what it's trying to do. And if you've tried that before, let me hear about it. Tell me about it in the comments section. I'd love to hear what your results were. All right, as I get ready to take this final item out, be sure to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Click that notification bell so you can be made aware of all upcoming videos. Also, don't forget to go check me out on Instagram and on TikTok. The last thing in here came as a complete surprise to me because, so while this is something I've gotten used to finding in grocery stores now, I have never seen this at a Dollar General. So when I saw it, I had to get it, and that is a box of wine. They had Chardonnay in a box at your Dollar General. I could not believe what I was seeing. They had a pretty good beer and wine section. The ones over by my house, they don't have that. If you're in an area where Dollar General, not the market store, just Dollar General sells beer and wine, let me hear about it. I'm curious as to whether it's limited just to the market stores. But we've got this Liberty Creek Chardonnay, and as I break this open, we are closing in on 20,000 subscribers. I continue to be blown away because I never thought this would happen. This channel floundered at 3,000 subscribers for the longest time until sometime last year, it just took off. We have grown like crazy. I truly appreciate all the support you guys keep throwing in my direction. The Joey's bug out bag thing was huge, and it's still growing. Things are still arriving to this day. Joey he can't believe the way this is going. He is just so completely caught off guard by it. But in celebration of closing in on 20,000, let's give this Chardonnay a toast. Cheers to you all. That's not half bad. That's a cool addition to a mediocre MRE. Maybe just throw the rest of it away and keep that. All right, so that's it for this homemade MRE from Dollar General Market. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have suggestions for places I haven't been before, please drop it in the comments below and tell me about it. I may not have it in my area, but I do travel a lot, and I've started making specific trips just to go MRE shopping. Tell me about the places you like, and be sure that if you come across products while you're shopping that you think would work in one of these kits, please tell me all about them. I may not be able to find them locally, but I will keep looking. But until the next time, prepare for the world that you live in, not the one you wish existed. We'll see you around.